What's up at the Tip Top, the Media and Arts Building in White River Junction, Vermont, where the visual arts are everywhere? What's up at the Tip Top? Photostop, the community gathering place for photographers and lovers of photography, is having a show by Suzanne Upton. Soldier, many wars, intimate portraits of soldiers. Let's go in and see what these portraits look like. No soldiers in uniform standing in heroic poses. Just wanted you to be able to see the scale of these portraits before the opening of the show happens and all the people come into the gallery to be surprised by the way these soldiers are portrayed. Suzanne Upton, here with one of the vets who's come to see the show, will be giving a talk about her experience and purpose in doing portraits in this fashion.
I wanted to make a vulnerable picture of a soldier. I think soldiers are generally always portrayed as heroic, strong, our first line of defense. And as a mother, I thought, or just as an American person, I thought, well, really one false move, one unfortunate event, and they're not so strong, and they're vulnerable. Everybody's vulnerable. And when I looked at soldiers on TV and followed the coverage of the war, I thought, you can't even see who these people are because they're so encumbered with gear and helmets and representing the United States. And so I really wanted to, as a portraitist, just see who it is who volunteers. I remember the Vietnam War and the draft, and I thought, if there were a draft and my son and his friends went to war, how would they recover from that experience? So I just wanted to meet the people who volunteered and see who they were, and this is the result of that. I think that these pictures, if they're powerful at all, it's because they're both provocative in that they put their heads down as a kind of performance. I asked them to put their heads down, and it's as if they're fallen, although I didn't say that to them. I didn't say anything. I just said, put your head down. But I work with a large format camera, which is, with a hood over your head, so it took a while to adjust the lights and to adjust the camera, and they were stuck in this awkward, somewhat uncomfortable position for a while until the picture was taken. And then somebody's mind could wander. I mean, when you're stuck there. And I didn't say anything, but the idea was that I'd see if there's anything about war written on their faces, and I don't know if that's successful or not successful. The captions of these pictures are just soldier, Doherty, 386 days in Iraq. It's very conceptual. I didn't want to hear their war stories. I just wanted the viewer to be able to look at this face and imagine what you would imagine. So I think they're provocative in that they look fallen, but at the same time they're how we see the intimate people in our lives. It's how we see our lovers and our children close up with their head on a pillow looking at us. So they're both so they're very intimate. So it's an intimate view of a stranger and an intimate view of a soldier. We don't usually see intimate views of soldiers and of strangers. So that was the idea. These pictures were billboards in 10 different cities in the United States because I thought that even though I'm an art photographer and I'm interested in making good pictures. That's my main interest in life, and in photography, not in life. But I thought, well, this is about an issue that in 2008, 2005, we weren't talking about. We weren't allowed to see pictures of coffins coming back. We couldn't see pictures of the wounded. We were pretty shielded from the war, so I thought that this is a topic that lends itself to public art. So we made billboards and put them in all these different cities, and they just had the head and the word soldier, and there was a blog and a website address, and so that people driving by, people who drove to work every day and looked at this picture over and over again, could write into the website what they thought, and what they thought was that it was great that we need to see these pictures of soldiers who were not just robots. There are sons and lovers and fathers and brothers, and other people thought that it was terrible, that it was that that's not how we should see our soldiers. We should always see them as heroic. So there's a dialogue, and the photographs created a dialogue that people wrote back and forth, and you can see that on the website, which is soldiersface.com. And I was very, you show your work in a gallery and everybody says, oh, it's nice, it's wonderful, whatever. And making it public art makes a bigger conversation. So I felt blessed that that I was able to promote a larger conversation. And then, if these pictures were about anything, they were really about the issues of coming home from war. When I started all this, I knew nothing about war. I still don't know that much, but I know more. So I thought the issues of coming home, I wanted to look into that. So I used to live in Chelsea, up in Vermont, and I made these photographs, which is called Many Wars, the Many Wars section of this book. And again, it's a bit of a performance. It's a conceptual device where I thought if you put a piece of fabric on them, on everybody, then the soldier can be, the veteran can be a warrior, a boy with a cape, a homeless person, a martyr, a saint, any one of those things. So it's a very simple idea, and I just put it on them, and there they are. And I think when you start to make pictures like this, when you make any kind of picture, you don't really know what you're doing. You have just like a little piece of an idea, and you have to trust that, and then it sort of takes on a life of its own. So I then also, in this case, I did very much want to hear from the soldiers. I wanted to know what it's like to come home and what happened to people, and how, to me, you know, some people, my friends, think, oh, you've spent all this time dealing with war and soldiers and such sad stories. But what's really interesting to me about it is how people go through a trauma in their life and how they get over it. How you readjust, so this is going to war, I believe, is probably in almost every case, something that marks your life and is one of the big events of your life that you struggle with for the rest of your life. And so it's that struggle and that coming back to your life that's most interesting to me. So that's what we talked about when I interviewed people. And to many of these people, Jim is a counselor at the VA in Colchester. And Andy Pomerantz introduced me to Jim, and he said, oh, he thought the billboards were terrific. And I thought, oh my God, you do? You work with the VA? You think the billboards are terrific? So Jim was marvelous in introducing me to people and supporting the project all the way along and teaching me so much. I really appreciate it.
I had seen the billboards heads online. You know, you can look it up and see that. And I said, wow. I was just like, this is really important work. So I just became
Why did it strike you as so important?
I think it's important because the veteran is sort of put into a very tiny container of what a veteran is, that we're not going to war because we can't find a job. You know, we're going to war because we want to. We think it's the right thing to do.
What was your experience of draping that around you?
It was curious to me. It was a very heavy cover. It was not light. It was not like very thin. It was very heavy.
So what was curious to you about having that drape around you?
I had no idea what I looked like. I thought I looked like a dork, to be truthful. And I came home that night and I told my wife about it. I said, you know, I don't know. You know, I was scratching my head. I don't know about this thing. I don't know. But when she finally, you know, showed me the print of it, it was very nice. I mean, she does capture personalities, I think. In a very subtle way, but that's what she captures, is the personality of the soldier.
I don't know whether you talked with the soldiers about how they felt in their drape, but to me, the drape has given them a way to be.
Looking at the picture for an answer. I think I didn't think. Really. I mean, it's kind of, you mentioned that over there was a process where they had to get in the pose and it was a long wait and you could just let your mind wander. I think, for me, that's exactly what happened. I think that when you take a look at a bunch of the different ones, speak for everybody, but you see a lot of different states of mind and states of emotions in the pictures.
What do you think led you to participate in the photography project?
Susan mentioned that it's the conversation that art can start, and that's part of it. I think any time that you have conversation and people discussing it, it's good to bring those issues to public and open it up. Yeah, I mean, by conversation, a good dialogue of different views, discussing the problem and understanding the problem and understanding, maybe not necessarily changing your mind, but understanding someone else's point of view and accepting that point of view.
What was it like to put this, I don't know what they're calling, garment, blanket, robe around you?
It was sort of, I don't know if surreal was the right word. It was kind of interesting because the fact that she made a conscious decision to not say anything or do anything and just let you go to wherever you were thinking. I think it depends on, again, where you are. Is it a robe like a chief would wear, or is it a blanket to hide in? I think it all depends on what state of mind you're in. It can be really anything. I think that's probably why she chose it.
What's it been like for you to share this show with other people tonight?
Some of the emotions that picture portrays, depending on who the person was, but my wife is disturbed by it a little bit because it's kind of, and I can see why, it's kind of a dark look in my eyes that could be construed as disturbing, but war is disturbing.
Anytime you're in a position or anytime conversation comes up of experiences, combat experiences, they're tough to, it can be tough to deal with. So by having to not only talk about it with her so she can document to go along with your photo, being in that position where you kind of know where she's taking a photo and it's kind of in the back of your mind still, your experiences.
So when you put that on,
It almost, in essence, I think it felt transformed a little bit. You put that on, and you're kind of like, from a different time period maybe. But I think by putting that on, you focus more on certain things than the body. It allows you to focus on, the face, the hands, the positioning of that, and I think you can pull a lot out of those photographs from doing that. And then it grew into telling your story of my experience in combat and how it was like to transition back home after serving time overseas.
What do you notice about yourself?
I look older in that picture. Real old, that picture. And then I remember back what I was thinking when we were doing that, so.
You remember what you were thinking?
Oh yeah, yeah, you never forget things like that. It was just a little instance of a child that I befriended over there. Nice kid, reminded me of my son. Same age, same build, same everything. Yeah, learned a lot there. Liked that kid. So anyways, that's how that picture got started.
What about I don't know what to call them, robes, blankets that you held around you?
I thought it was kind of weird. Just for me, I thought it kind of looked like an Arab, with a robe on. I was becoming not so much foreign, but I guess for a real quick, maybe a few minutes, I was becoming the people we were fighting.
You know, I grew up in suburbia, always had a roof over my head, never expected to be on the street, you know.
You did change your life.
I did, yeah, I did. Well, I had to really hit bottom before I could do that. I knew of Jim Dooley in the years prior. I mean, living in Burlington, I was referring veterans to him who I thought had PTSD and stuff. And then and I knew him to say hi to him. Last year or whatever it was, he goes, "This woman's taking some pictures. And maybe you should go up there and check it out. Maybe you should do this. I think you should do this." I'm like, "What?" So then I went and I did it. And
So what is it like for you to have other people look at that picture?
it's a little uncomfortable because I'm private. I have a private nature, but then again, I willingly did this. I actually showed the picture to friends of mine, and I went, "What do you think about this?" Because the one thing that surprised me about this is you look so vulnerable. I was like, "I do?" You know, I said, she threw a drape around me. You know, and I posed like saints and stuff, and I said, "This is really just strange," you know.
The word saint?
Well, yeah, she
came up?
said she looked at a book of the lives of the saints, and they were always posing kind of like this.
Your friend said the word vulnerable.
Vulnerable, yeah, one of my
So
friends said,
do
"You look
you
so
see
vulnerable."
that now in that? Or is there a
You
part
know-
of you that acknowledges that?
There is, but there's a part of me that doesn't want to acknowledge it, you know, because you don't want to look vulnerable. He's a tough guy, you know. So, but I think all of us are being treated for post-traumatic stress who are involved in projects. So, you know, there's a point when you got to stop being tough and you have to open yourself up and, you know, look at yourself, so to speak. So, I mean, I've seen a lot. I was a caseworker for a lot of guys who were just completely closed. You know, it takes time, but the earlier they do it, the better off they'll be.
Being vulnerable, taking a risk with someone you don't know is maybe a healing process for people.
Yeah, it's I'm not jumping out a window over it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send a picture to you know, family and stuff, which I haven't done. It's like in a book, it's in galleries now, so you know, somebody's bound to see it.
I wanted each series to be equal, so, and a bleed, so the soldier images open like this, and the many wars open like this. This is not probably the best way to show it, So in these many wars, these are veterans from wars as far back as World War II. And then you come to the middle of the book, and you turn the book. So it was a good solution. It's published by Decode. It's designed by John Jenkins, the publisher of Decode, who is a great designer. And he and I worked on it together, and he actually gave me a design credit, which I thought was really sweet, because I've never designed a book before. But we did work on it together. So, because either way.